Ladies and gentlemen, it's like a privilege to do stuff like this because when you meet people that you've never met before and you find them really interesting, you learn so much about so many different things. I was at a Marlboro EDC thing probably about a month or so ago, and my next door neighbor who sat next to me, I'll call her Christine right now, she was next to me and she told me all about this stuff called Liquivida. But what really impressed me was her business cards were like credit cards, and they come with like a $50 gift certificate or something like that. So that was like really impressive. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to welcome Christine Ruggiero.
Thank
a fellow
you.
Italian.
Yes, of course.
That right? From Liquivida. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I'm here to actually ask you a lot of questions, and I did a lot of research.
Oh.
And she says that she was, I think, a little bit shy or embarrassed, and she was a little nervous about today, but she's all over the internet. You see her everywhere in Monmouth County, magazines, she did podcasts, she's on Spotify, so she's a regular, so she's going to be an amazing guest, I'm sure. But what I think I really wanted to speak to you about was a couple of things. The first was, you have the ability to almost, I don't want to say inject, is that the right word? It's inject vitamins into your body as opposed to taking vitamins. And you made a comment to me and you said, you probably will spend the same amount of money, maybe even less, if you come to me with this injection, and then as opposed to buying vitamins and take them daily. So tell me a little bit about Liquivida, and you don't own Liquivida.
I do own it. I'm a franchise owner, but it is part of a franchise.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of a franchise, but they're all independently owned.
Got it.
So I own a few of them. Most people start with one, and then they like it so much they end up with 2 or 3.
You have 3, right?
I have 3.
One in
I'm a little
Florida?
crazy. Yeah, it wasn't intentional, but anyway, it turned out that way. So when I had met you and I told you about the vitamins, so an IV, when we do the IV drip, you have all the vitamins. We customize it, whatever you want. Let's say you're feeling under the weather, we have an immunity one. Say you need energy, we have something for that. Say you want everything, there's an IV. So our IVs are customizable and customized, if that makes sense. So what we do is we get the IV and we put it in your vein, obviously, just as if you were in the hospital or an emergency room. We grab, we get your vein, we put the IV in there, and it goes right into your bloodstream. And most people, as soon as we start the IV, will say, hey, I taste that funny taste in my mouth. You're getting the vitamins that quick. It's that fast it infuses in. Whereas when I had met you and I told you the story, when you take a vitamin by mouth, what happens is it goes and bypasses the tract, right? So your intestines, by the time you get the vitamin broken down, you're only getting 10%.
Yeah, but my question was, don't you pee it out? Because everybody says you pee out vitamins. You don't pee it out quick?
You do, but here's the difference. When you're taking it by mouth and it goes through the intestines, you're going to pee and poop it out, right? Obviously, not to be gross. But when you get it through the IV, it gets into the cell. So it gets into your bloodstream, it gets into the cell. Your cells circulate for 30 days, right? And that's why it stays in your system longer.
So you say 30 days and you should be...
Give or take, 21 to 30 days, right? 3 weeks, people start feeling a little bit like, hey, I need a drip, I'm going to come back in.
So people feel it after it starts to wear off?
Yeah, you can start to feel it. Because what happens is when you get that boost of these vitamins, you're like, wow, I can do everything. I can clean my house, I can run a marathon, whatever. You have all this energy.
Wow.
And then for a couple of weeks, you're good. And then you start to kind of decline. So a lot of people are like, hey, I'm just like so tired. I can't do anything. I have no energy. Boom, then they'll come in, they'll get an IV. So most people have figured out that if you just keep that level steady, you don't do that roller coaster.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so we tell everyone try to come in once a month.
Do you get more immune to it then?
You don't get immune, but you just get a boost. Like you keep your volumes and you don't want to be deficient in any vitamin.
Of course.
Because it all feeds off each other, right? So the biggest thing though is a lot of people get dehydrated and don't realize they're dehydrated. I mean, this is unreasonable to drink 10 of these a day or 15 of these a day. And everyone's walking around the big Stanley cup, right?
Yeah.
Which is great, but I mean, I couldn't do it. I would live in the bathroom and never ever
That's
be able
exactly
to work.
What I do too. I
drink
this.
So then I guzzle at night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so, So when you get an IV, a lot of people feel great, not only because of the vitamins, but because you're getting the fluid that they're not getting because we're not doing this all the time. So it's like a double thing. And when you're dehydrated, a lot of people don't realize the symptoms of it. And they can be anything. I have a headache that won't go away. My skin is dry. I'm itchy. My skin's flaky. And all of those things, that's dehydration.
So it's like, I guess the way I would look at it is if you do it for like 6 or 10 months, is it like last, instead of 21 to 30 days, does it last like 10 days? Because
Yeah, because your body's in that rhythm. Now you have like you're completely hydrated,
so then you have
and
to,
you get your vitamins.
you have to keep coming back now every week or every 2 weeks?
No. I was like every
okay.
month, at least
Okay.
once a month. And some people are like, I'm really good. I'll come in every other month. However they see fit. They know their body.
Gotcha.
It's just like a car, right? What you put into it, you're going to get out of it.
That's
You
right.
never change the oil in a car, it's never going to run smooth.
You're right.
Right?
100%,
So I
yeah.
tell people that. And a lot of times everyone's like, oh, but this is a fad. It's been around for a long time, but no one knew it.
I didn't know about it either.
Yep. And I know, and no one can figure out, because now you see them on every corner. Vegas is full of them, Miami, all the big places. But they've been around because we've been doing this in the ER and for years as nurses, right? This is what we've been doing.
Right.
Right.
We got to get to that. I did want to ask you though, because a lot of people, when I spoke to my wife about this, the first question was, is it organic? Are the vitamins
Natural. They're
right.
natural. They're pure. They're sourced from a 503B pharmacy for us. So a lot of times, and I tell people this, it's all educational. So with IV drip bars popping up everywhere, what you really want is a place like, for instance, our place. All of our IVs, we have different IVs. We have like a cocktail menu, let's say. They're made, and they're specifically made. So everything's been formulated. There's no room for error. Now, when you go to some other drip bars, and they're just customizing, pulling all these different things out of different vials,
right.
One, you don't know how long that vial's been open. Two, you don't know how many times they've stuck that vial. Three, let's just say somebody makes a mistake, right? We'll take, for instance, zinc. If someone puts too much zinc in an IV and, whatever, inadvertently, you can cause permanent hearing damage.
Really?
Yes. So permanent hearing loss. Yes. So the reason Liquivida's concept is their IVs are pre-made, pre-measured, and sourced. They're one and done. So if you come into me and get an IV, and let's just say we give you a Fountain of Youth or a Liquilift, everything you need is pre-measured there in individual bottles, and that's it. It's one and done. So I use it on you, and then that's it.
So
it's all pre-measured.
Let's say I go in and it's pre-measured for me, but I weigh 150 pounds, and this guy comes in, he's like 280.
Doesn't matter.
So that one is the same for me and that guy.
And
Really?
it's a potent amount. Yeah, it's a good amount. Because you need vitamins. Vitamins aren't based on really weight so much. It's based on your blood levels, right?
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, I'm always deficient in vitamin B, right? Because I don't eat enough green vegetables. I don't even eat vegetables, right? So how do I get my B? I get an IV because I know when I'm really, really tired and I'm moody and I'm cranky. So you'd be surprised when your sodium, your potassium, your magnesium, when everything is just off a little bit, it affects your mood, it affects your sleep, it affects the way you eat.
I got a great question for you.
Oh, no.
Right? So you need to obviously know the person. Do you do a blood test and then assess them?
No, we do an assessment where we ask you questions. So I'll say to you, if you came into me and say, okay, tell me what's wrong. What are you feeling? You're like, I'm not sleeping well. I have no energy.
But let's say I didn't know that you didn't like greens. Christine, I wouldn't know, right?
Right.
And you'd be deficient of B2 or whatever, B3.
Yeah.
How would you find out what that person is deficient in without doing like a blood test?
You just ask them. Because a lot of times, too, with blood work, so for instance, I made the cardinal mistake one time in getting blood work, and it was unexpected blood work, but I'm like, okay, let me get my blood work. And I ate a cheeseburger the night before. So my cholesterol was through the roof when I get my blood work back. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Right away, the doctor's like, your cholesterol is high. You need to go, you need to get on these drugs. Right. And I was thinking, no one ever asked me what I had to eat. Right? And if they had asked me, they probably would have said, don't do your cholesterol levels, right? So we ask people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we say to them, like, how are you feeling? If you're working out and you're eating right and you're still feeling lethargic, all right, let's try this. Because what you really want to do is a more natural approach. And vitamins, the way we do it, are natural. So there's no preservatives in our vitamins. Everything is, like I said, the reason it's not preserved is because there's a time limit on them, right? They're sourced for us and they have to be used within X amount of days.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just to go on a totally different path here, you were a registered nurse for like 33 years.
36.
36 years?
I started when I was 10.
Oh my God. I believe you. Because when you told me your age, I'm like, that's not really not your age. But
we're not saying that loud now on TV, and we're not going to say it on this podcast.
I won't. No, but I thought that's like three decades.
3.5.
Yeah, being a nurse.
Yeah.
Where were you a nurse? In the hospital?
I was a nurse. So I spent all of my career in Newark, New Jersey. So I was a trauma nurse. Yeah, I was a trauma nurse.
You were a trauma nurse. That must have been like.
That was the best career job I've had.
Really?
Well, it was one of the best. I had a very good career. I'm not going to lie. Nursing has been wonderful. And any person that wants to go into nursing, I fully tell them there's so many different avenues you can do. So I started out.
But Newark must have been crazy. Like every day must have been a whole different ball game, right?
It's the wild, wild west. Yes, but it was great because I'll tell you what I had when I went to nursing school. It was a huge nursing shortage. So back then, when HIV didn't have a name, right? We didn't know what it
right.
was. Nobody went to nursing school, right? Nobody wanted to even go into medicine. So when I started, there was this thing that people were getting, and certain people were getting it. We didn't know what it was doing, but we knew that it affected people and it was killing them. So I remember coming out of nursing school, and where do I land up? Right in the center of it, right? The epicenter of it, because we have a huge homeless population, huge drug addiction. But then we started seeing women getting it, who had never been a drug abuser, who never got a blood transfusion. They were getting it from their partners, who might have done, whatever risky behavior. So then it became, right around the time I think I started working in Newark, Rock Hudson, and that's when it all came out. And
I
now,
remember Freddie Mercury.
You remember Freddie Mercury, right? And those were the
yeah.
early days of it. And everybody was so afraid of it because you're like, okay, well, why would I be a nurse? What if I get stuck? Those are the risks you take, right? It's a job hazard. So, I loved trauma. I loved it. Did it for many years. Worked in the ICU, worked in ERs. And then, took a little break, had my children, went back into nursing. But nursing is great because you could do anything. You could do psych, oncology, ER, trauma, you name it, pediatrics. So I did pediatrics for a little while. And then I decided, you know what, I want to switch gears. So I decided to go into forensics, which I love.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been a very blessed career. And then I started...
Wait, forensics nursing?
I did forensic nursing.
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, I did forensic nursing, and then I worked for the Essex County Prosecutor's Office for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and
what a resume! I didn't even know that.
Oh, you didn't know what you were getting when you asked me to come on this show.
No, this is amazing. But keep going.
So I was a forensic nurse, and I was the director of the forensic nursing program in Essex County. So what we did was, so there's different avenues of forensic nursing you can go into. You can do dead people or live people. So mine was, and in New Jersey, I did forensic nursing, which is sexual assault. So what I ended up doing was, I fell into it by accident, fell in love with it. A job opened up in Essex County. I took it. I had a wonderful mentor at the time. The prosecutor was just great. He was he knew DNA inside and out, wrote books, chapters. So I learned so much from him. And a job, in SVU. So that's where I worked. I worked in SVU for all that time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but we did child abuse, child sexual abuse.
It must have been terrible.
It is, but you learn
witness that.
Yeah, but you know what? It makes you so eternally grateful for coming home to normalcy.
Yeah.
So I live in
true.
Middletown. So, in Monmouth County, when you come over the Driscoll Bridge and you see the water, you kind of know you're in a different world.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. So once I came over that bridge, you have to turn work off. And it's hard to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard to do it. My kids, felt a certain type of way, like, you love those kids more than you love us. And I'm like, I love you all. But, that's my job. So I did. I loved it. And then that segued into teaching. So I was a professor at NJIT. I taught forensics. So I taught forensic psychology because then I went back to school and got a master's in forensic psych, which is amazing. But it's bad because you can never turn it off. So you're always analyzing people sometimes. So it's got its plus and minuses, but I love it. I loved it. And so what I did was I married the two things that I loved the most, nursing and forensics and psych. And I just fell in love with it. And so I wrote a few articles. I did some testimony. I did some cases, like private cases, for for defense attorney. I did one case, and then I did one for prosecution. So, it's different. The law is so gray, and you just don't know how you can. It's all interpretation.
Right.
Like we say, this bottle is water. Well, is it water or is it vodka? It's all interpretation.
Right.
It's clear. So you can argue anything.
Wow, that's just amazing. The reason why I asked you about that part of your life was because you just didn't pick up and say, I want to just be a Liquivida woman. I just wanted to get into this. So you knew, and you coming into a company like Liquivida is giving it more legitimacy based on your background, which is, I think, important that the people know.
You always see sick people. So nursing, what do? You land in a hospital. And what do you get in a hospital? Mostly people who are sick and don't have a choice but to come through there. So I think with Liquivida, one of the things that drew me to it was you're healthy and you want to stay healthy and you want to continue staying healthy.
Right.
So I see people that are healthy that maybe feel a little bit, okay, but they're not great. or they want to lose weight, because we do weight loss too. And that's another topic.
I wanted to ask you about loss. Can we get to the weight loss question?
Yeah, let's do that.
So you mentioned about weight loss, and it said
I did
40 pounds or something like that?
42 pounds.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, if you see my video, which is all over the place, thank you, Liquivida.
I did.
And then I think I'm an industry magazine too.
I did see the pictures. I saw the before and after.
Yeah, they're pretty telling.
But I guess because I go to whether it's a personal trainer or we had a nutritionalist on one of the shows, and I believe that was the best way for me to lose weight. Do you give people like a dose that makes them lose weight? Is that how it works?
So the whole big thing with weight loss, and that's the biggest fad now too, right? So everything goes in fads. So what you'll see is everywhere, up and down in our area, $199 weight loss drugs.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways to do it, and I think, and I'm not saying that there's one way that's right or wrong. I'm saying our way. So we want blood work. We want your blood work. For that, we definitely take blood work. So we want to see what's going on the inside. What's your cortisol level? What's your inflammatory markers? All the different things that maybe could contribute to that. Is it your hormones?
Right.
Is it, for a female, is she going through menopause? Is it a man who's maybe testosterone's dropped, and he's got that, spare belly, spare tire? So we look at the blood work, and then we start looking at lifestyle. Okay, what are you doing? Are you going to the gym every day? You're working out, and you still can't lose the weight. All right, let's see if it's something organic. Is something going on internally? Like, is it your hormones? Is it this? Is it that? So yeah, we can give you medication to curb your appetite. That's great. But if you come off of that, you're going to gain the weight back.
I see.
So what we tell clients is, that's okay. That'll give you the little, limit your appetite, but you also need to boost that metabolism. So we need to boost that metabolism. Then we're looking at your hormones. If your hormones are out of whack, let's regulate those. Because then all of that together is going to give you one big boost and help you lose the weight and keep it off. So my journey was, I used trizepatide. I don't like semaglutide. I took trizepatide. I did the B12 shots, right, for the energy. I did the IVs regularly every month. And then I did a couple of peptides. So peptides is what a lot of people don't realize are amazing. So everyone knows collagen, right? Mm-hmm. It's a peptide.
Right.
So peptides are an amino acid that we already have in our body that we form. And as we get older, like everything else, it starts to decline.
I see.
So that's why our hair, our nails, our skin, everything changes a little bit because collagen, right, decreases. So the same thing with all your different peptides. So I take a peptide now. I take a few. I take one to keep my metabolism up.
Now, is this an injection or is
it? It's an injection in
all
the
of
belly.
This is ingestion?
Yeah.
In the belly?
I do it the sub-Q in the belly, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you could do them sub-Q in the arm, but I do mine in the belly.
I don't know what that means. Is that a vein?
It's a tiny, no. It's a tiny little needle. It's like a little teeny tiny needle, like an insulin needle.
Oh,
they're
okay,
tiny,
I get it, okay.
So they're tiny. So you pinch a little fat and you just kind of give it in there. A little bit of fat. But, I do the peptide. So I do one that's called GHK copper. And that's beauty. It's one for beauty, but it's also regenerative. So it also helps with trying to ward off Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. So cognitively,
is this proven, scientifically proven to?
Well, all peptides are in your body, right? So like one of the things with that is we know that we degenerate as we get older.
Right.
So peptides are regenerative. So when something starts to decrease, you want to give it something to boost and increase it. So functional medicine, which a lot of people some people call it homeopathic, it's not. Functional medicine believes in regenerative medicine, using your own body to regenerate itself. So the things that are declining, if you take a peptide, it gives your brain the signal, hey, start making more collagen. Let's start making more of this. So that's kind of the way the peptides work.
I understand.
Yeah. So
are insurance companies taking care of this stuff, or is it?
No. You know what's so sad? They'd rather have the farm companies, give you a pill.
I know.
Yeah. And we're not going to say we're against it, but there's so many different ways that you can do things. So like for me, when I got that weight off, which you saw that big weight, so when I started that, my cholesterol was high, my blood pressure was high, I had no energy, I couldn't even bend down and tie my shoes. It was awful. Like it really was. And that's when I would come up, my face would be flushed. And I said, I got to get this weight off or it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Like literally going to give me a stroke. So when I started doing it, and when people say I lost 30 pounds in a month, that's never good. You want it to go slow, and steady.
Yeah.
So mine was 6 to 9 months, right? And now I'm about 2 years, and I've kept it off, right?
Wow.
Because I still do other things to keep that, regenerative.
Are you still doing
part.
the injections?
I do a peptide for metabolism, which also is good for regenerative things. I do another peptide for beauty, right? Obviously, because you know my age. Don't tell anybody.
When you say beauty, what does that mean?
So I mean just like regenerative, like for skin, hair, nails, overall collagen production. And then I do another peptide. I do NAD. NAD is a great peptide. You get it in food, right? So it's found in food.
I see.
So I do NAD, which a lot of people started finding out about after COVID, the brain fog. So
yes.
So COVID did a lot of brain fog for people. So NAD is one of those regenerative things where it kind of clears your.
Wait, when you say COVID, was it the shot that gave them brain fog, or was it
the
COVID?
illness of it?
The illness.
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of people said, after they had COVID, my hair started falling out.
Wow.
It's not coming back the same. I just can't think. I can't focus. So, I test guinea pig myself for everything. There's nothing that I promote or sell in my business that I don't try out first. So I said, let me do the NAD shot, right? Let me try it. It is a game changer. I am so much calmer. I am so much more focused. I can do tasks now, not getting overwhelmed with it. Life is overwhelming sometimes, right?
That is true.
And so, do you eat 3 meals a day like you're supposed to?
I do.
You do. Well, you're good. But, like for me, it's like, okay, I have 30 minutes and, we got to eat lunch and we're eating it really quick. And then we go home, it's like, I'm so tired, I don't feel like eating.
Right.
So then, all of that contributes to that not feeling well. But I love NAD. I take NAD 2 to 3 times a week. I do a shot, a minimal dose. But
so it sounds like you're taking the peptides, the shots, and all that stuff. You're doing the vitamin injections. How much does all that cost? I mean, you obviously,
No, it's affordable because we make it affordable.
Give me an example of what it would cost for a monthly vitamin injection.
A monthly IV, if you wanted to do like a middle of the road.
I don't. What's the middle of the road?
Middle of the road would say like, all right, we don't put the glutathione in. We do when we have vitamin C, all your B complex vitamins, all your B vitamins, sodium.
Do you have a multi?
Yeah, we have an IV that has everything in it. You don't have to add anything else to it.
Let's say
that's like $275. But for most of the time, like I give the $50 gift card, first time clients. Right now I have a special for Memorial Day, 30% off. It's like $70, $75 off an IV.
Oh, that's a big deal.
So we want people to come in. Then we have packages, so we make it much more affordable.
Right.
And it's like anything. The more, people love Costco, right? You buy in bulk. Why? Because you save money. So if you get a package of IVs for
that's
4,
true.
It's the equivalent of getting like 3 IVs with 1 free.
Got it.
So, we try to promote that. We do take the HSA, like for people who have a health savings account.
Oh, I know what that is. Yes.
Yeah, so they use that
right.
because that is, it's promoting your health. It's like a gym membership, right?
Exactly.
So all of that stuff, and then, people say, oh, it's the price. And I understand wholeheartedly. But here's the thing. If you, God forbid, have a heart attack or a stroke or worse, and you get into the ER, that hospital bill is $3,000 to $4,000 right off the bat. This is a lot cheaper to get a $275 IV, right?
Right.
When you think about it, in comparison to your health, there's no price for health.
Right.
I feel better at my age, and just so we'll get it out there. I'm 55.
Wow.
I think about that.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
Double nickels. Yeah, the speed limit.
The speed limit.
The speed limit now in some places.
So, I guess the thing that I'm concerned about is the time it takes. So let's just say I got to go to Marlboro, Middletown. I got to get there, and it's like a 2-hour process, right? By the time I'm in there, how long does that take?
It'll take you less than an hour from start to finish.
Really?
From you signing your papers to give me consent, from me starting the IV and you getting out of there, an hour.
Oh, wow. That's not so bad.
So we have a lot of people come on lunchtime or after work.
Gotcha.
No, it doesn't take that long. I mean, that's like if I give you a big liter bag, too.
So who's your most popular demographic? Is it men, women? Is it children? Is it adults? Who do you cater to the most?
It's weird because I would say it's equal, men and women. Because a lot of times men will come in with their wives, their girlfriends, their friends. Sometimes we'll have a couple guys come in. Everyone knows the vitamin drips for the hangover IVs, right? That's like where it got famous with the Myers cocktail.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's where, like, I think in Vegas, everyone now knows IVs. Oh, I don't feel good, I'm hungover. Okay, come and see us. Mostly because you're dehydrated too. But I would say I have a lot of men clients as much as I do women.
Wow.
Because men are getting into now, they go to the gym, they work out, they have stressful jobs, they might not be eating or sleeping well. So the one thing with Liquivida, though, is that we want you to come in and try everything, right? So we don't want you just to do IVs because, that's great. We'll get you feeling great. We have guys that come in and say, what, I've been sitting here and I'm looking at that room and that's your injector. You do Botox here? Yeah. We have a lot of men that are doing everything. They're doing, they're doing the hormone replacement. They're doing the IVs. They're doing, Botox.
You have like a libido injection, don't you? Because I was there. I was like, what the heck does that do for you?
I don't. Oh my gosh.
No, because I was looking
That
at
came out of nowhere.
No, yeah, because I'm doing all this stuff for COVID. You got the things that goes.
Yeah,
in
there is a peptide for libido called PT-141. Yes.
So how does that conversation happen? It's like, hey, Christine, I got a problem with my sex drive.
Well, you're
We
not
have
going to
something-
tell that to me in the middle of the
Right.
IV therapy lounge. No, we're going to do that behind closed doors. No, so when we sit down, when the wellness coordinator, so let's backtrack to go forward. So all the IVs are started by nurses. So I have only RNs, right, including myself. We do the IVs. Our injector is a nurse practitioner who does the Botox fillers, things like that. My wellness coordinator, who you would talk to about your libido issue, is a nurse practitioner. So she puts you into her office. You close the door, obviously. And then there's kind of like just going through a lifestyle assessment. So, of course, it's going to be food, sleep, sex drive, and things like that. And it's so incredibly amazing how people don't realize every single aspect and component of what we do daily affects every part of you. So, libido is a big part of us. We're sexual human beings.
What's that magical thing that...
It could be, for a female, it could be just the hormones, right?
But what do you inject? Is it a vitamin or is it a...
No. PT-141, if you do a peptide for libido, is a peptide. It's an injectable peptide. So you would inject it about 30 minutes before, that, or up to
It's
4
like
hours
Viagra?
before. Kind of, I guess.
So wait a second. So before everything starts, you go into the bathroom, you put a needle in you?
Well, let's just say, even if you're alone and the kids are not home, right? You and your wife are going out for the dinner. You want this romantic evening. You could do it up to 4 hours before. But it's not like Viagra where you have that short window period.
I mean, I don't even know, but it sounds like, what if you take it and then you're going out to dinner and then something starts happening during dinner?
No, it doesn't. It's not like Viagra where all of a sudden you just,
No.
It's like you have it in you. It gives you the sensation, and if you're aroused, then it would be.
Oh.
But it's not like a Viagra where you take it and boom, there's a flagpole. No, it's not
I
that.
understand.
No.
But now...
You can control it.
Did they make like the Viagra for women, or is it just men?
So, the Viagra, I don't know about for women. I think for women sometimes, believe it or not, so we have male and female hormones. So we actually have testosterone too. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times a woman will end up going on testosterone therapy, which will increase her libido, right? Sometimes they don't want to do that because there's all side effects with that too.
Right.
A lot of men don't even want to go on testosterone either because they don't want to start losing their hair. But what do you want to do? Lose your hair or have a sex drive? Which is more important?
I'm going to keep my hair. Christine, I'm keeping my hair. Sorry.
I can't see you without the hair. I know. So, but some men are afraid of that because they'll go to these guys and they'll put them on these regimens and they're awful. So we want to see you all the time. Like we keep in touch with you. We want to see you every month. We want to know how you're doing. But the peptide, the PT-141, that's for men and women. Either one can use it. And what it does is sends a signal to the brain like, hey, upon arousal, I'm going to start to have my libido kick in, right? That's the thing. So sometimes, it's like life. You go into someone and you say, hey, come into the office. Let's talk about things. Go through the lifestyle assessment. And then the women are like, I'm too tired. I have kids. I know about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night when the kids are in bed. I just want to go to sleep.
So men out there, there's a shot for this.
And men, when you come home from work and you're also tired and stressed out from your day.
That's true. And women, there's also something for your men.
Yes.
That's
so thank
enough.
God PT-141 doesn't discriminate. It's for both. It's for both. But we do.
Did you feel that there was a need? Did Sam, the owner of Liquivida, did he feel that there was a need for libido enhancement?
Well, I think
injections?
when you talk about wellness overall, you can't have wellness without sexual health, mental health, physical health, emotional health. So I think it's all encompassing. So, it's not like a one size fits all. That's one thing I love about the concept of it too, is that, everybody's regimen is different. So I'll give you an example. When you see all these advertisements for weight loss memberships, right? Yeah. Everyone's on the same dose. But that doesn't work. Like you said, what works for you may not work for me. So everything that we do is customizable, meaning it's made for you, not for me. So like somebody else will have one regimen, I'll have a different dose, you'll have a different dose.
I see.
It all depends on where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I think when Sam created this, Liquivida was created early on with functional medicine doctors and still have functional medicine doctors. And the philosophy is, the doctors they don't sit with you. We sit with you for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and talk to you about your whole lifestyle. And sometimes it's like therapy. People just start going into all the different reasons of why they put on weight, why they stop having sex with their spouse, why they have no patience with their children, why they're not functioning at work, et cetera, et cetera. Doctors will sit with you how long? 15 minutes.
It's usually a physician's assistant, not even a doctor.
Right.
They'll come in like a dentist.
Right.
The hygienist does everything. They come in.
Yep.
You're done.
Oh, you look good. Okay, good. We're done.
Yeah.
Bye. And then you're like, okay, but I have questions. Yeah.
I know.
So we sit with you. We want to answer all those questions. We want to talk to you about everything. And then I think what happens too is that it becomes personable. And you feel like I can trust this person. So now I'm going to start talking about this. And listen, in this country, sex is a very big taboo topic. Nobody wants to talk about it. But there's a huge problem because relationships will fail because of that.
That's right.
And then the person's like, well, they're just not attracted to me. No, they're physically exhausted. They have no libido. They have no hormone in the tank. So that's where I think we do things a little bit different. But even things where your cholesterol is high. I've had some doctors send their patients to us to say, get a glutathione drip, because that's a naturally, it's a natural way of pulling cholesterol out of the bloodstream and helps the liver filter it through. Whereas some doctors don't even know about the benefits of glutathione, right? So they write a prescription, here, take this medication. And then you're on it for life.
I have a great question though for you, because we were talking about COVID. You said to me that you didn't get COVID. You just had the drips or something like that.
I never got COVID.
Right. And you're being a nurse and you're exposed to all this stuff. So the question that I have is, I think Joe Rogan, didn't he come out and say that during COVID he took the drip and it didn't affect him? He didn't get COVID. Actually, he got COVID and then went on the drip. And
then felt better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
It is possible. So anything. Flu.
So why wouldn't people promote that?
It's hard to say, but the reason is very simple. So viruses have to have a certain, and COVID's a virus, just like the flu is a virus, right? So viruses are very specific. They need a certain environment to live in, to flourish, right? So when you do a high dose vitamin C drip, okay, when our drips have 15 grams of vitamin C in it. When you do a drip with vitamin C in it, it changes the pH and the acidity of your blood. So viruses like it to be a certain pH. That's why they don't survive in acidic blood. So one of the things we found out with IV drips is that when you, first of all, when you have a high dose of vitamin C, it alters the pH of the blood, and viruses don't like acid. They don't like acidic blood. Is that why they
say if you're feeling under the weather, take vitamin C? I thought that was a myth.
No.
People had said, oh, that's not true.
No.
It's good for your skin.
No, vitamin C is amazing, right? It's amazing. There's so many different things about it. It's an antioxidant, but it also changes naturally the pH of your blood. So viruses need a certain temperature, they need a certain pH to flourish. So, for instance, even cancer, we have clients that have cancer. They come to us and they are like, I want to do a high dose. They change to functional medicine. I want to do a high dose vitamin C drip. And we do it because cancer cells cannot thrive in an acidic environment.
So can you say that it doesn't
cure? You can't say cure cancer. No, it doesn't cure cancer.
Can
I can't say it cures COVID
it stymies cancer or it
I
stops
can say that it can... if there's a lot of studies now out with the NIH where they're saying, the National Institute of Health, they're saying, hey, listen, you know what? We're finding a lot of clients are getting these high-dose vitamin C drips and the cancer is not proliferating like it used to at the rate we saw it before.
Interesting.
So it's amazing. And these are like naturally derived things that now we're starting to get because people are moving away from all the pharmaceuticals, especially with chemo. What does chemo do? Chemo kills cancer cells, but it also kills good cells.
I know, and I think it came out in the 70s, right? Chemotherapy, nothing's really changed.
Yep, and we still can't find a cure for cancer.
Yeah, isn't that? I think it's that's a whole different.
That's a whole other podcast. Yeah, well, I'll come back for that one.
Yes, exactly right. So, the last question I was going to ask you. You have 3 of these spaces, right? Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurs that watch this podcast, they either start their own business and then they go through the journey. But you inherited a business, but you had 3 of them now.
Yeah.
What made you jump from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3? Because I have 3 music schools, and it is.
You're crazy, like I am.
It is crazy.
So I think what happened was, and it was by default. It wasn't like I purposely planned out to do this. I think what ended up happening was, and we circle back, how did Liquivida start for me, right? I was sitting home. I still remember it. I was, your jobs get to after a while, right?
Yeah.
I think everything has an expiration date. Sometimes it's a job. Sometimes it's whatever, right? Relationships, who knows? But everything usually has an expiration date on it. And you know what you can take and what you can't. So I was at that job and I was commuting to Newark, and I live in Middletown. And the commute was getting to me, sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
Then the job was getting to me, being on call all the time, managing people, and always being accountable. So I'm like, if I'm going to work this hard, why am I not doing it for myself? So I couldn't do that job for myself. So one day I was sitting around and I was like, I want to do an IV business. I can do that. I'm a nurse. I can just be a solo one person running the show. And then I called Liquivida and I spoke to a gentleman, Jeff, and it changed my life. And he's like, you're a nurse in New Jersey. You have needle power. Why don't you do a wellness center? You can inject Botox. You can do this. You can do that. And I said, all right, let me think about it. So I went back to school, learned how to do all that stuff. And so then I opened one. The thing is, I opened one, and ideally Middletown was supposed to be the only one I was supposed to open. And that because of COVID, and nobody was building, and everything was sluggish, and, signing leases during that time was impossible.
I know.
So it was easier to do it in Florida, which is a little bit easier.
Yes.
Yeah, so I decided to do one in Florida, and then that was the first one.
How do you manage them? Do you fly back and forth to Florida?
I do, but I also have a great team down there.
I have
an
a great
amazing
team. That's
down
the key.
there.
The key is...
the team is everywhere. If if we don't have a good team behind us or next to us, we're nothing.
Right.
We're absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so when you came in, Nicole greeted you. She gave you the talk.
Yeah, you have an amazing team there.
You could tell as soon as you walk in, and I'm sure that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't have 3 places independently running without you being there and not have a great team.
No.
So, it's all
So when they figure out how to clone me, that'd be great, because then I could have 6 of them. But right now, I think, so I started that, and then New Jersey, I thought it was just like, okay, I opened up Middletown after that, and then what ends up happening is I have first right of refusal. So if somebody wants to open up a Liquivida within a certain radius, they have to ask me, which is one thing I do love about Liquivida. They will ask permission, say, hey, listen, there's this guy, he wants to open up a Liquivida in this particular town. It's within a certain mile radius, but you have first right of refusal. I said, oh, okay. I never thought anything of it. And then the landlord in my building is a great guy, and he heard about Liquivida, and he said, can I call, he called me and said, can we meet? Can you tell me about this concept? So he was opening up a medical building. He's like, wow. I would love to have this in my building. And so that's how Marlboro came about.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a fluke, but, it ended up being a beautiful thing because I have a great space. I have a great landlord. Clients are great. And so now I have Middletown, Marlboro. And even though they're 8 miles apart, it's like 2 entirely different places.
Really?
It's funny how people won't go 8 miles in one direction. Because when I have clients, sometimes I'll say, all right, well, I'm not here in Middletown, but I'm in Marlboro. Do you want to come tomorrow? Oh, that's too far. And then Marlboro will say the same thing. Oh, Middletown, that's so far.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is odd.
But they'll go to Manhattan for dinner.
Right. We spoke about that too.
Yeah.
So the way we usually end this podcast is I usually tell it's the same story. So if you've seen any of the podcasts, it's basically years ago my dad and I were hanging out at my house, and I'm a big Mustang guy, but I'm a classic Mustang guy. I love the old Mustangs, and my dad did too. And as we're closing the garage door of my house to my Mustang, and I said, Dad, I love this car. And he's like, Mike, I was just at church the other day, and the pastor said something very profound to me. He said, everything that we own here, everything is going to be gone and owned by somebody else. Somebody else will own this car one day.
Right.
And he says, well, what are you in it for? And I didn't know what he meant by that until I was a lot older. But I'm going to ask you, what are you in it for? Because you've done a lot. You've gotten, whether it's forensics or medicine, RN stuff, doing Liquivida. You, like you said, you've been graced with an amazing life. So what do you want to leave the world with?
A little bit better than when we found it, a little more educated about things where, I have 3 kids and I tell them all the time, this is all materialistic stuff, all the designer stuff, all the cars, everything. It's great. We own them. But if your house was on fire, what are you going to run out with? I'm not running out with any jewelry. I'm running out with my kids.
That's
or what,
right.
Right? Or whatever.
Me, it would be my guitars.
Your guitars.
Maybe my kids.
Right.
No, I'll knock on the door.
Yeah.
Guys, let's go.
Let's go. We're running. But really, what are you running out with?
No, you're right.
You can have, $1 million under the floorboard, but you're not going to reach for that in a fire. You're
right.
getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
So I think, for me, it's the legacy. I want my kids to be proud of what their mom did in this lifetime. I think all of the people, that I've met in my career and even in this new career, I think are amazing.
Yeah.
And I just think it's connection, human connection, because we're so used to the phones and digital, and we don't talk anymore.
It's true.
And we, when people come into Liquivida, hi, how are you? And we genuinely, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm having a great day. I'm having a terrible day.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what's going on. And so it is a little bit therapeutic. So I think, I like the connection, the human connection, which I think gets lost. we're so in such a rush, we don't stop.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a great way to end it. But I wanted to give you grace because I remember when I saw you and we started to talk, but we were distracted because the mayor started to talk. But I was so interested in hearing your story because you have 3 places, and one was in Florida, and we were so similar. That I was so glad that you gave me these amazing credit card business cards. I kept them. The other ones were just paper, so I kind of tossed them. But you gave away some great credit cards, and I didn't know much about Liquivida until I started to research you, now learning about the libido. No one's going to have an excuse. But
I'm going to get 15,000 phone calls tomorrow.
I gotta
make an appointment. But don't tell anybody.
Well, that's great. We have somebody to take care of that.
Yes, we do. We have.
So how can people find you?
Okay, so we're on Instagram, Liquivida Middletown, Liquivida Marlboro, Liquivida PGA, because we do have a lot of clients from here that go back and forth.
It's with Palm Springs?
Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach, okay.
Palm Beach Gardens. And Instagram, Facebook, and then our website. You can go Liquivida Middletown, Liquivida Marlboro, and we each have our own website, our own Instagram.
Got it.
But for me, I use a lot of I have the same team in both stores in New Jersey.
Oh, so they share offices. They go back and forth?
Yeah, they go back and forth.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
My teams, all 3 of my teams are amazing. And we're all under the same umbrella, and all I am is like Mary Poppins. I just hold the umbrella.
I feel the same way. I'm just the guy that pays the bills.
Exactly. I pay you, keep food on the table. Other than that, I'm in the back. I don't want to be seen.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Christine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.